Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Christmas Island, which is part of Australia. Now you can't really tell because this is a little cutaway on a map of Australia, kind of like if you look at a map of the USA, you have a little extra box for Hawaii or Alaska. Same with Christmas Island and the Cocos Keeling, which we'll be talking about in a few weeks, actually. Just hold on to that thought. So Christmas Island is not really close to Australia. It's in the Indian Ocean. It is just south of the island of Java, which is part of Indonesia. And as you can see from this map, most of the island is made up of Christmas Island National Park. It is full of rainforests and lined with beautiful sandy beaches. There's some beautiful coral reefs around here as well. You can kind of see outlined by the white there. The capital is up here, Flying Fish Cove, although, when you think of capital, you think of big buildings associated with capital cities. It doesn't have that. It's nicknamed the Settlement. And the other towns around it, which I don't even think are on this map, are just very little tiny settlements, essentially. But what Christmas Island is most famous for geographically is its red crab migrations. There's actually quite a few species of crab on Christmas Island. They have coconut crabs, which kind of give me the heebie-jeebies. They're kind of creepy looking. But the red crabs are really cute. They are bright red, and they mostly live inside the national park in the trees here. They're a land crab or a rock crab. And they run out of the trees once a year around October, November to mate on the beach. The females lay their eggs in the low tide area. And it's a sight to behold because there are tens of millions of these crabs emerging from the forest. We'll even see some on Google Earth later. They've built crab bridges over some of the main roads so that the crabs won't get hit by cars as they're migrating out. It's really cute. But yeah, we'll see some of the red crabs on Google Earth. It's literally I know you think Christmas Island, you must think like Santa on the beach. The first thing I think of when I hear Christmas Island is the red crabs. Because I'm a geography nerd. I don't think of Santa on the beach. That comes next. Although this has nothing to do with Santa. So why is it named Christmas Island then? Well, let's talk about it. Because this island has no indigenous population. Not a single human set foot on this island until about the late 1700s. It was first sighted in 1615, but it was named in 1643 because the ship that sailed past it on Christmas Day. And of course, it was a British ship. The colonial British people in charge of names were absolutely terrible at it and named things very subjectively. I mean, you could just look across Australia and see the Great Sandy Desert. I'm looking down at the map here. Everything's named after Queen Victoria's Queensland and Victoria. There's the Northern Territory, South Australia, the Coral Sea. You can find examples of it all over the world, wherever the British colonized. They named things very matter-of-factly. So since it was Christmas, it got named Christmas Island. Oh, I did write down the date it was first visited. I was way off. It was 1688. Sorry for that. I was thinking 1788. Way off. It was first set foot upon by human beings in 1688, but nothing was really much done about it for quite a while. It wasn't until the 1800s when exploratory ships would arrive on the island to collect samples of the wildlife and the plants and the soil. And on one of these trips in 1887, they found phosphate. Phosphate is a mineral, I believe. I don't think it's an element. I think it's a mineral. That comes from doo-doos. It can come from mostly bird doo-doos, but I think also guano, bat doo-doos can have phosphate, but these are definitely from the birds. Phosphate at the time was extremely valuable because it was an excellent ingredient for fertilizer. Fertilizer is one of the most important resources in the world because that's how we get food, right? That's the cats growling at each other. I hope they're not too loud. I'll have to break them up. If you hear gentle humming in the background, that's Jaguar. That sound. That's Jaguar growling at Russell. You know, I'm gonna go break them up. 1 second. No kitties. Be nice, cats. Okay. Poor Jet Jaguar was in the bathroom, and Russie wanted to know what he was doing, and Jet couldn't leave the bathroom without walking past him, so he got all growly. I resolved the situation and locked them out of the room so they can't get in and growl in here. Anyway, Christmas Island. Phosphate. Yes, phosphate was discovered here, so the British quickly got to work in doing something about it. In 1888, a year later, it was officially annexed by Great Britain. Flying Fish Cove, which they're still growling out there. I'm so sorry. They're like outside the door growling now. Ignore them. Flying Fish Cove had been established a little bit before that, actually, named after not actual flying fish, but a ship that landed here called the Flying Fish. I believe it was one of the exploratory ships. But it officially became a full-on settlement so that people could mine the phosphate. It was controlled by the owner of the Cocos Keeling Islands, so he controlled both. I'm sure we'll be talking about him a lot more when we talk about the Cocos Keeling Islands, because he sounds like quite a character, and I didn't want to go deep down that rabbit hole, not just yet, very soon. In 1900, Christmas Island was incorporated into the Straits settlement, which was pretty much at the time just Singapore. So this island and Singapore were one colony, essentially. And if you know your geography, those two places are completely far apart. Not even close. It's just interesting. But because it had that close association with Singapore, many Singaporeans came to the island to work. Most of those were of Chinese ethnicity, but many other people just came from China. Also, what was then called Malaya, now we call Malaysia, and India. So a very diverse group of people working here to mine the phosphate, creating their own culture. Because like I said, there's no indigenous culture here. So essentially they became the indigenous culture of Christmas Island. I imagine in like 100 years or so, once those cultures mix together and create more of an identity, maybe we'll actually have a Christmas Island culture. Maybe even like a pidgin Creole language. Who knows? Who knows? In 1942, the island was occupied by the Japanese. It was World War II. The Japanese really wanted to exploit that phosphate, but they never really got the chance to do so. They didn't really get to export that much. And of course, like always comes up when we talk about Japan invading places during World War II, there were, of course, various atrocities. There were bombings and such from the Japanese when they invaded and the Allies when they got to reclaim it. But we're not going to go into any horrific details of the treatment of the people here because it's really horrific and I would like to remain monetized. Plus, it's not very relaxing. I think we all know the various horrors that the Japanese inflicted upon the peoples they conquered during World War II, and we don't really need to get into it. In 1958, Christmas Island was officially given to Australia. That was a time in the world where colonial powers were sorting themselves out, realizing that the colonial model does not work on a humanitarian level, and in this day and age, it's just not acceptable. So it was split off from Singapore. I think Singapore was joining Malaysia at that time. I don't think they were independent until like 61, I want to say. But Christmas Island was given to Australia. Really, if you're going to give it to a British power, Australia is the closest one, even though it's not even that close, but it's closer than Singapore. Officially Australian, and many Australians did move, well, not many, Australians did move here to work on the island, creating a new subset to the culture here. Sadly, Christmas Island does have some unfortunate associations with it, mainly due to Australia's migrant crisis that's been ongoing since the early 2000s. People fleeing from parts of, I think in the case of Christmas Island, mainly Asia, like Southeast Asia, and the Middle East as well, trying to find any kind of refuge. And since this is Australian soil, it's very easy. Not very easy, but easier to wash up on here than on actual Australia. So a migrant center had been established. It was getting overwhelmed, so the government built a huge detention center to keep people, I guess, locked up as they tried to figure out what to do with them. They also did this on Nauru, which I've discussed pretty much any time we've talked about Nauru on this channel. Conditions, from what I saw, weren't nearly as bad at Nauru, but were still not ideal, right? Not very good for human life, especially for children. Thankfully, it's been shut down. It officially shut down, I want to say in 2023. It got reused during COVID for quarantine purposes. I know I read some Australians who had been in Wuhan at the outbreak were sent here to wait out their time, make sure they exhibited no symptoms. But it is no longer in use today, thankfully. No one should be treated like that. Doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, in my opinion. But anyway, that is the history of Christmas Island. It has nothing to do with Santa. There's no penguins here. There's no elves and reindeer. Although we will talk about reindeer at the end of this week. We will be going to a place with a lot of reindeer, but not Christmas Island. So I think now I should grab my tablet so we can explore Christmas Island on Google Earth. There aren't a lot of pictures, but the pictures that are there are pretty great. So let's check it out. Let's go. Here we are on Christmas Island. And of course, let's start by zooming out so you can actually see where this little island is in the world. So here you can see Java. There's Jakarta, the current capital of Indonesia. That could change. The Cocos Keeling Islands are just a hop, skip, and a jump away. Then over here is Australia. So like I said, much closer to Indonesia than Australia. Singapore is up here. There's a whole lot of everything in between Singapore and Christmas Island, but they were once one entity, if you can believe that. And we are, of course, within the Indian Ocean over here. Or what else is in the Indian Ocean? Sri Lanka, the Maldives are there. Lots going on in the Indian Ocean, much more than you would expect. So what can we find on Christmas Island? Like I said, most of the island is Christmas Island National Park. And it's very, very beautiful. There's a red crab. There's a coconut crab. Okay, first let's look at the beauty. Let's look at the landscape first. There are some, I want to say like hotels. I don't think there's any big resorts, but you can see that this is definitely for mining purposes. This is to send materials on and off of ships. Beautiful forest here. Look at this forest trail going through. And of course, the beautiful waters along the coast. The coconut crabs are scary. I don't know. I don't like them, but the red crabs, I think, are very cute. They are very sweet, I think. And look at them all. Going through the grass. All going sideways toward the beach, toward the nearest beach. And like, imagine this by the millions. I'm sure we'll see more pictures. That's a booby, actually. We talked about doo-doo and boobies on this video. There's a little Chinese temple here, because like I said, there's many Chinese people that still live on this island. Very large Chinese. I think it's the largest people group on this island are people of Chinese descent. Here's the blowholes, it says. Places where there's a big hole in the rock, so the ocean water goes like this. So it looks like a whale blowhole. Where the land meets the sea, and that's a frigate bird. Very distinct. There they come, the crabs. All coming out from the bush out to the beach to mate and lay eggs. Isn't that amazing? So, so cool. The blowholes. That's showing you how it works. That's a lot better than what I was describing, I think. Coconut crabs, I don't know, they creep me out. I love the red crabs. I really wanted to put stock footage of the red crabs in the intro, but there wasn't any that I could find that I have some licenses for stock footage, as if you've seen my videos. Look at the umbrella, has little red crabs on it as the red crabs go. They're so cute. Anyway, I use a lot of stock footage in my intros, and I pay for that service, and I was like shocked to see no red crab videos. Out of like so many random things I found in that stock footage, I thought for sure there would be some red crab footage, but alas, I was really sad. I really want to see the red crabs someday. I want to see them again. Look at it. Coming out of the trees. They're so cute, I think. I hope you think so too, because I certainly think so. Let's look at this beach. Maybe there's some red crabs over here too. We'll just kind of do a little wrinkle. You can see some of the coral here. Isn't that lovely? There's lots and lots of scuba and diving on many spots around the island. Let's look. Oh, by the way, here's the detention center. All closed down now, thankfully, but what a cold, sad place this is, isn't it? At least they got a tennis court. But that probably wasn't for the inmates, so it was probably for the workers. I don't know, maybe it was. But I doubt it. West White Beach. Look how cute the little crab. They're so cute. Ew, and then there's, that's not a coconut crab. What is that? I don't know. I don't like that crab. I like their, look at these. They're going for a little splash. I also read that since the red crabs aren't marine crabs, they can't swim, but they lay their eggs in the low tide. So if any of them get washed out, they drown. I was like, no, not the crabs. So here's Flying Fish Cove. Like I said, when you think of the capital city, you have expectations. This is not it at all, is it? It is a big industry port here. There's a post office. There's a little hotel. There's a church. And a little restaurant there. Shopping mall. Metro shop. Little parks. And like, it's just a very, very basic town. Here's the jetty for Port of Christmas Island. It's from above. Yes, it's small and quaint, but man, I bet life can be pretty peaceful here. Or I guess chaotic if it's a place where everyone knows everyone. I'm sure the tea is pretty hot, but can't be. It's probably lukewarm, let's be real. So these little towns, this is Poonsong. I think Poonsan was a Chinese settlement, and Silver City was Malayan, I want to say. They originally started off like all the different cultures were separate in their own tiny communities, and I think it's all blended together by now, from what I understand. You can see the tarmac there on the airport. You can see a big mine right here. Phosphate Hill. Oh, we don't want to look over there. There's the rec center. You can see a solar farm here. At least that looks like a solar farm, I assume. So there's a cricket oval with sticky wickets. I don't know anything about cricket. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's the golf course over there. We've got a little, looks like a Hindu temple? No, Chinese temple. Chinese temple over here. Look at that. Another blowhole. Here's another booby. Just a regular one. No bright colors. Ew. I don't know why. I think it's because they're so big. I don't know. I don't like coconut crabs. They give me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know about you. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Like I said, there's not a lot of pictures. Oh, I've got to find the crab bridges. Here's one. There's a couple of them. Look at the crab bridge going up over the road. So when the crabs migrate, there's a picture. Old train there, that's pretty cool. The crabs can go up and over the road very safely. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, you can't really see them. But yeah, there's another crab bridge I found in the south of the island. I want to say maybe this beach over here. Oh, you could see a little resort right there by the looks of it. Some kind of lodging there. Let's see. There's red crabs. Oh, this one has some good red crab pictures. There's some more boobies. Look at all the crabs. That's so amazing. And the tide. He's found some seaweed. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. Look at all the crabs. Oh my gosh. You gotta be careful. That looks like a foot right there. Like, be careful where you step or you'd smush a crab. Oh, there we go. That's the picture I was looking for. All the crabs going over the crab bridge. Excellent. Fantastic. Warning, this is an unpatrolled beach, strong currents, so watch out for those kinds of waves. But yeah, that is pretty much Christmas Island. I'm currently offline. That's unfortunate. Oh, I'm back online. That's great to see. All right. And why don't we end it over here at Dolly Beach? Let's see what's in Dolly Beach. Ew. I don't like them. I'm sorry. I don't like them. I wouldn't ever want to see a coconut crab in the wild. I would run the other way. I don't know. They creep me out. But thank you so much for watching. Look how beautiful this is at low tide. I bet you can find all kinds of cool stuff in there. Oh, gross. Thank you so much for watching. No, it's not you, the coconut crabs. I don't want to see any coconut crabs. I want to see red crabs. Look how cute. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. So next we're heading over to Argentina. Last time I did a video on Argentina, it blew up. Actually, the last 2 times I did Argentina, those videos did crazy well, and all the Argentines loved it. So I'm kind of excited to do another one. It's a really, really beautiful place in Patagonia. We're going to see some UNESCO sites, one on the beach and one in the Andes. It's a very diverse area, so be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and let me know all your thoughts down below. Which one do you like better, the red crabs or the coconut crabs? Let me know. Let me know if you're right or wrong. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night.